Okay, so just ahead of the Eagles matchup with the Falcons, the Birds have a big decision to make at cornerback, as after an impressive debut on the outside for Quinyon Mitchell, many are wondering whether he should stay in that spot or if Isaiah Rodgers should reclaim it when he's healthy. But some recent comments from defensive coordinator Vic Fangio may have provided some answers. And on top of that, Fangio also kind of hinted at the possibility of the Birds using rookie Cooper DeJean in a much bigger role later in the season if things pan out. Meanwhile, the Birds are hyper-focused on cleaning up their suspect run defense and stopping Bijan Robinson, while Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins may not be fully healthy ahead of the matchup with Philly. So can the Eagles defense fix their issues and take advantage of that? Well, we're going to talk about that and so much more Eagles news in this video starting right now. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And we start this video off with something rather sad, as legendary musical artist and Philadelphia native Frankie Beverly unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 77. And the only reason I mention this on an Eagles channel is because Beverly meant a great deal to Jalen Hurts, as not only was he Hurts' favorite musical artist of all time, but he also had become somewhat of a mentor to him over the years, and Hurts put out a post on Twitter after he found out the news, just kind of mourning Beverly's passing. So my thoughts and prayers are definitely with the Beverly family right now, and also with Jalen Hurts, because again, Beverly did mean a great deal to him. The unfortunate reality for Jalen, though, is that while this is obviously hard for him, he also has a football game to prepare for in just 4 days, as the Atlanta Falcons are coming to town on Monday night for the Birds home opener, and it's going to be an interesting matchup, as the Eagles are coming off a fantastic win in their opener in Brazil that had plenty of ups and downs, while the Falcons are coming off a really disappointing start, especially considering the expectations they had coming into the season, just with all the notable additions they made in the offseason, none bigger than quarterback Kirk Cousins. But unfortunately, the veteran QB did not get off to a great start, as not only did his team lose, but he and the offense were only able to muster 10 points, and Kirk also threw 2 picks, and just overall, Cousins did not look comfortable or really even ready to be out there, and there have actually been questions raised about Cousins' health after this performance, as he's of course coming off a major Achilles injury last year. Now, Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio was asked about this in his press conference on Wednesday, and he still seems to believe that Cousins is healthy.
Vic, in looking at the Falcons film, is Kirk Cousins healthy in your mind, and are you expecting a package involving Penix?
No, I'm expecting to see Cousins, and I do believe he's healthy enough. If he wasn't, they probably wouldn't play him.
I honestly think, whether he actually is or not, preparing like Cousins is fully healthy is definitely the way to go here, as he obviously just can't afford to be underprepared in this matchup. That being said, though, all the evidence after week 1 definitely suggests that Cousins isn't fully healthy, as Ben Solak of ESPN brought up an interesting stat saying, quote, Cousins moved an average of 3.1 yards per dropback in this game, which is the least dropback movement he has had in a single game of his career by more than a full yard. So it seems clear to me that either Cousins doesn't fully trust that Achilles yet, or he's not fully healthy. But either way, it's definitely not good for him or the Falcons offense, and the harsh reality is that it could actually be an advantage for the Eagles defense, as the Birds pass rush did struggle at times last week and they just didn't produce like the team needed them to. But with Cousins seemingly pretty immobile in the pocket, the Birds should have an opportunity to just pin their ears back and go after him, and that group definitely could use a better showing than the one they had on Friday, and Vic Fangio seems to agree with that.
We didn't pass rush good enough overall in the game. Did the field have something to do with that? Yeah, it obviously did. But, overall, we can get better there.
I think it's safe to say for the Eagles to get where they want to go, the pass rush is definitely going to have to pick it up. So with Cousins seemingly hampered and the Falcons offensive line not being the best, this is surely an early opportunity to get on the right track. Now the Eagles are also definitely going to have to be ready for the quick game, as if Cousins can't really move in the pocket, they're going to want to try to get the ball out of his hands as fast as possible. So Vic Fangio and the coaching staff are certainly also going to have to be prepared for that. And they're also going to have to be prepared to stop the Falcons rushing attack, as last week versus the Packers, the Birds were far from great in that department, as they let up 163 total rushing yards on 21 carries for a very high average of 7.8 yards per carry, which is just unacceptable. And Vic Fangio also talked about the struggles in stopping the run during his press conference on Wednesday.
Yeah, on the long run they had for the touchdown, we didn't quite fit it right, and got the guy in the open field, and we missed a tackle there, which is tough when you're in the open field. So that was one there. And then their first scoring drive, which I think that one was the final one, we had a couple there that we could have played better. I could have been in a better call. etc.
Yeah, safe to say the Birds are going to have to do a much better job this week, especially going against a really talented running back like Bijan Robinson. Speaking of which, Nick Sirianni talked about Bijan and the challenges in facing him during his press conference today, and he had some really high praise for the second-year running back.
Yeah, we showed some tape of him today of just how elusive he is. I think if you look at his first touchdown was like play 11 against Carolina last year, play 11 of the game number 1, and they throw him a little swing pass and he makes the first guy miss, and then he makes another guy miss, and he runs through a tackle. He's a really good football player who he can create on his own. Like things could break down and he still can make a play. A lot of things reminds me of when we used to. It felt like today in the team meeting when I'm showing those, it felt a little bit like, hey, these are the clips I remember showing when we were getting ready to play the Giants and Saquon. He's really elusive and really fast, got good hands, and so he's a heck of a football player that's done a nice job so far in this league. We'll have to be ready to tackle. We need to tackle better than we did last game, and it's going to be a big deal this week's game, as every game is.
Yeah, safe to say the Eagles know they got their work cut out for them in trying to stop Bijan, and if they aren't able to contain him, it could definitely create some serious problems for the defense in this game, and also start to really worry some fans that the run defense could potentially be an issue throughout the entire year. So let's hope they're able to figure it out and get on track this week. And something else the Eagles are going to have to figure out is the whole situation going on at cornerback, and Vic Fangio actually recently had some comments regarding that were pretty interesting. So we're going to get into all that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on this video. And now with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, the Birds definitely have a very interesting situation to work out at cornerback, as Isaiah Rodgers' absence last week created a very interesting situation where Quinyon Mitchell was pretty much exclusively on the outside as opposed to the slot, while Avonte Maddox was on the field a ton in the slot. But with Rodgers' return being anticipated, it has raised the question of whether he should instantly take back the starting outside job, and if Mitchell should go to the slot, or if Mitchell should remain on the outside. Now, on Thursday, Vic Fangio was asked about why they chose that three-man combo that they did on Friday, and his answer could give us some clues as to what the Eagles might choose to do when Rodgers returns.
What went into the decision to have Maddox over Mitchell in the slot?
Well, because with Isaiah out, our next, best combination, because they have the good outside receivers, through deep to Watson a good bit. We wanted Quinyon out there.
So you heard it there. He said with Isaiah out, the next best combination that they have was Slay, Mitchell, and Maddox. So based on that wording, it sounds like he still believes their best combo could be having Rodgers on the outside and Mitchell in the slot. But I'll admit that is total speculation on my part, because he didn't confirm anything, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it. So it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do here. I honestly don't know what I think they should do, because on one hand, I thought Mitchell was great on the outside, and I do want to see more of that. But I also don't want to just stick Rodgers on the bench, because I think he can definitely play at a high level. So again, I guess we'll see what happens. And I guess we'll also see what role the rookie Cooper DeJean is able to carve out for himself as the season goes on as well, as right now, Cooper's really nowhere near being ready for a big role. I think it was clear just watching him on Friday that him missing all that time in training camp really hurt him and has put him behind in terms of learning the defense and just getting comfortable in it. And Vic Fangio agrees with that, as he had this to say about DeJean on Wednesday.
Yeah, we just got to keep practicing him a bunch, get him comfortable. He basically missed all of training camp except the Minnesota week. And, so he's behind, but we're trying to catch him up.
So it certainly does seem like Coop has a lot of work to do before he's ready to take on a big role. But that doesn't mean it can't happen, as DeJean is a super talented and crazy athletic player with high upside, and once he starts to get comfortable, he might just be able to carve out a sizable role and be effective, as Vic Fangio seemed to hint that a big role for Coop, primarily in the slot position, could be in the future for him. As just listen to his answer to this question.
Could there come a time when your best combination is him in the slot and Quinyon outside?
Possibly.
So that is certainly interesting, but also I don't think it's very surprising, as the Birds picked Quinyon and Coop high in the draft this year for a reason. I mean, they both have a ton of talent and ability, and the Birds surely want both of them out there in big roles fairly soon. So we'll see how DeJean is able to develop and progress as the year goes on, and who knows, maybe by the end of it, he's starting in the slot for the Birds defense. But moving on and staying with the secondary, the Eagles also made another roster move on Wednesday, specifically regarding the practice squad, as they brought back safety Caden Stearns while dropping tight end Jack Stoll. And this is really no surprise to me, as when they released Stearns initially, I said that I would look for him to come back because he's a player who has shown a lot of ability and potential in this league before, and he does have talent. His problem has just been staying healthy, so if the Eagles can keep him around and keep him healthy and just continue to develop him, I think that that's a great move. Plus, it only helps that Stearns has familiarity with defensive coordinator Vic Fangio from their time together in Denver, and speaking of Fangio, I am just loving what he's brought to this defense and team so far. If you watch the whole game on Friday, I think it's clear that the defense has a whole new element of toughness and physicality that they just didn't have last year, and overall, despite there definitely being plenty of things to clean up, I think they showed a lot more promise than they really showed at honestly any point last year, and a lot of that in my mind has to do with Vic and his leadership and just his old school no BS style of coaching, and also that's just his personality, and you can really see that on full display in these press conferences where he's just up there giving honest, straight to the point answers, and I mean, I honestly just love it. And I also loved hearing Jason Kelce talk about Fangio, as in an appearance on WIP this morning. Kelce told a story about Vic Fangio that shows just what kind of person he is, and he also tied it back to just how important Vic is to this team.
You're in the playoffs, and we're getting ready to play the New York Giants in the first round, or I guess we had already had the bye.
Put another way, you're getting ready to kick the Giants' ass.
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
And Vic comes up to me, and I'm up there talking to Stout, and he says, "You nervous?" And I'm like, the gall of this. Sorry, beep that. Sorry, so sorry. I'm like, and it pissed me off. Like, I'm like, this guy's like questioning like whether I'm going to be fired up to play, and but I just love that like unfilteredness. Like, it's not like he's gonna try and fluff me up. He's like, he knew I was going up against Dexter Lawrence, who's a great player in this league, and like was ready to come after me. And they were fired up. They just come off a huge win against Minnesota, and they had tore their offensive line to pieces. Wow. And like, he's just a guy that I think just a tremendous personality in that old school like feel that I think is important to have in a building.
I like that.
I really do.
Well, in my mind, it's so far so good for Vic, and we'll see if the defense is able to clean up some of their issues from week 1 and put out an even better performance against the Falcons. And also, speaking of Kelce, he's of course going to be in Philly for the Monday night game, as he's a part of the TV pregame team, while Nick Foles will also return to Philly to officially retire as an Eagle. So safe to say the atmosphere in Philly on Monday night is going to be electric for this matchup. And I'm, of course, going to be covering everything from that, as well as just all the other Eagles news throughout this entire season. So, again, if you guys don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. It really does help me out a ton, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Again, let's see if we can get 800 likes on this video. And also, leave a comment down below, because that also helps me out a ton. Just give me your thoughts on anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another video going more in-depth on Devin White's benching and Nakobe Dean starting, among other things, you can check this out right here. And now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.